Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show built entirely around your sources, your research, your notes, and your goals. Today, we're tackling what is, you could say, the most frustrating phase in language learning, that intermediate plateau.
Oh, absolutely. If you're at the B1 level, you know this feeling all too well. You can, get through an airport, you can read some articles, you feel pretty competent. But then someone asks you a tough question about your opinion on something.
And it all just falls apart. Suddenly, all that competence is gone. You know the grammar, but under pressure, your brain just freezes up, right? You start translating in your head. You feel like a robot.
That's exactly. That's the gap we're talking about, the gap between knowing it and actually doing it. And we see so many B1 learners get stuck in these passive routines, maybe listening to a podcast in the background while they're cooking.
Which feels productive.
It feels productive, but it creates what researchers call an illusion of knowledge. You recognize the words, sure, but you haven't trained your brain to actually pull them out and use them.
So that's what we're going to do today. Our mission is to bridge that gap. We've pulled together the most effective techniques from your source material, a mix of mindset shifts, micro-routines, and some really specific drills.
And the main takeaway from all of it is pretty powerful. Real conversational flow doesn't come from these huge multi-hour study sessions. It comes from consistency. Small, intentional actions every single day. We're going for momentum here, not burnout.
Okay, let's unpack that, because before we even touch the mechanics, we have to talk about the biggest roadblock, which is really the mental game.
It's so true. Fluency at this stage is like 80% psychology. The first big shift is this idea of taking 100% responsibility. When you hit a roadblock, how you think about it is everything. You have to believe you have control over what happens next.
Okay, I get the principle, but I have to ask. For a learner who's already struggling, maybe they feel like their textbook is terrible or something, isn't telling them to take 100% responsibility kind of demoralizing? Does that just lead to burnout?
That is a crucial question. And it's not about self-blame at all, it's about redirection. So instead of thinking this book is too confusing, which is external, you shift your thinking to, okay, I'm going to find a new way to use this book, or I'm going to find one new resource today.
Right, so you're not blaming yourself, you're just taking back control.
Exactly. It stops frustration from turning into paralysis.
Yeah.
Every failure just becomes a puzzle that you can solve.
That makes a lot of sense. And that mindset, that feeds directly into the next big idea, which is the 1% rule.
Mm-hmm. All the research points to this. Tiny, consistent steps add up so much faster than you think. 10 minutes of truly focused, active practice every single day is so much better than 2 hours of half-focused work on a Saturday.
So what does that 1% growth look like for something B1 learners struggle with? Like, say, mastering the passive voice. You're not going to do that in one day.
No, of course not. With the 1% rule, maybe on Monday, all you do is find passive sentences in a news article. That's it. Then on Tuesday, you try to write 3 of your own. Wednesday, you just say them out loud. You're not trying to conquer the whole thing. You're just taking one small, deliberate step. And over time, that changes who you are. You become someone who is actually growing.
And a lot of the time, we don't even need to find new time for this stuff. We just have to use the time we already have a little differently. That was the big lesson from that student we looked at, Carlos.
Right. Carlos was convinced he had 0 time to study. Just completely swamped. But when he actually tracked his day, he found he was spending a full 30 minutes at lunch just, scrolling social media.
Passively consuming content.
Exactly. And by swapping that one habit, just replacing the scrolling with some targeted listening practice with a transcript, his listening skills shot up. He didn't change his schedule. He just went from autopilot to intentional. And that's the core shift.
So if a whole new routine sounds like too much, just start with one tiny change. Don't promise to study for 2 hours. Just promise to write one sentence. Or swap one news site for one in your target language. Make the bar so low you just can't fail.
That's how you build momentum.
Okay, so if we're going to be intentional, let's find the best time to do it. Let's talk about the morning. Why is the morning so important?
Well, you get a double advantage in the morning. First, just practically speaking, it's a window of time you can actually control. It's before the emails start flooding in, before the day's chaos takes over. You have control over that first hour.
And then there's the brain science side of it.
Right. Physiologically, your brain is just fresh. Learning is about making new connections, and your prefrontal cortex is most ready to do that first thing. You win the morning, you usually win the day's learning battle.
So to protect that time, we're introducing a rule. No phone for the first 30 minutes of the day.
It's a game changer. You need to be acting, not reacting. Don't start your day by responding to what the world wants from you. start it by focusing on your own goals.
And you can use that focused time for what we call the morning warm-up. This uses a technique called quick flow writing. You just need a journal and a pen next to your bed. When you wake up, you set a timer for 5 minutes.
And the instruction is really simple, but it's powerful. You just write continuously about your plans for the day, what you did yesterday, whatever. But, and this is the most important part, you absolutely cannot stop to correct your mistakes or look up a word.
That sounds so counterintuitive. Why is ignoring your mistakes so important for this specific drill?
Because the goal isn't perfection, it's speed, it's retrieval. When you stop to correct yourself, you engage your analytical brain, and that slows everything down. By forcing yourself to just keep going, you find out what your real automatic language gaps are. You can't remember a word in 5 seconds, you haven't truly learned it yet. And your brain flags that as something to work on later.
And while we're in this morning routine, it's the perfect time to lock in some high-value vocabulary, specifically phrasal verbs.
Oh yes, phrasal verbs are so critical for sounding natural at the B1 level. Think about it. We don't say, my alarm commenced sounding.
Right, we say, the alarm went off.
Exactly. Or you wouldn't say, I will postpone the meeting. It's so formal. You'd say, I'll put off the meeting.
Or, I departed for work versus, I set off for work.
Right. And by learning these little chunks, get up, put on, tidy up, set off, in the context of your actual morning, you're wiring them directly to the actions themselves. They become automatic.
Okay, so we've got the mindset, we've got the timing. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual mechanics of fluency. Specifically, how do you fix that awful delay in your head when you're translating everything back and forth?
This is where we need to bypass that internal translator. And the best technique for that comes from professional interpreter training. It's called shadowing.
So with shadowing, you're listening to a native speaker, maybe a short podcast clip, and you repeat what they're saying out loud at the same time.
Exactly. Almost like an echo, just a fraction of a second behind them.
And this is so powerful because it trains your mouth and your ears to work together at native speed.
Yes. It's pure motor skill training for your mouth. It's not really about understanding every single word. It's about matching the rhythm, the intonation, the music of the language. It physically trains your brain to process sound faster.
A huge pro tip here is to use short clips, like maybe 90 seconds, and definitely wear headphones. That way you can hear the original audio clearly and your own voice at the same time, so you can compare.
And just like with the writing, the golden rule is do not stop. You just have to keep up the flow, even if you stumble.
But this kind of practice is almost wasted if you're just listening passively, right? Like audio in the background while you wash dishes.
Right. For intermediate learners, we have a new rule. You must use a transcript. It's mandatory.
Why is it so critical now? Maybe at a lower level, just listening was okay?
Because at B1, you need to be precise. When you just listen, you can guess the words you miss from the context. But the transcript forces you to be active. It makes you catch every single word, especially those little function words that native speakers just blur together.
And that's the whole secret, isn't it? Why native speech sounds so fast and blurry. It's not speed, it's these connected speech patterns.
Exactly. You have to train your ear to recognize the patterns.
Yeah.
And the two biggest ones are rhythm and reduction.
English has this rhythm, right? We stress the important words, the nouns, the verbs, and we just kind of glide over the little ones.
And those little unstressed words are where the magic happens. Their vowel sounds often just collapse into this lazy sound, the schwa.
Ah, the schwa. You need to become a schwa hunter.
You really do. Let's take a common example, the phrase going to. In a textbook, it's 2 clear words. But in real speech, 2 reduces, and the whole thing becomes gonna. You need to go to the bank becomes you need to go to the bank.
Or think about something like could have. If I say, I could have done that, it sounds very slow and deliberate.
Right. But in fast speech, could have just melts into coulda, or even could've. The H sound is gone, the vowel is reduced. If your ear isn't trained to hear coulda, you'll never understand that sentence, even though you know the grammar perfectly.
Let's go back to that barista example.
Okay. The barista asks, hi, what can I get for you? That's the clear version, but the fast, everyday version, the words all blend, what can I, becomes what can I. For you becomes for ya. So what you actually hear is something like, hi, what can I get for ya?
And the second you train your ear to recognize that for ya is just for you, the whole sentence clicks into place. It goes from noise to language. Shadowing those specific patterns is how you make it automatic.
So now that we have the mechanics down, let's talk about content. What should you actually be talking about? Because at the B1 level, the topics themselves need to get more complex.
Yeah, this is a huge shift. At the A2 level, you're mostly describing things. I have a dog. My house is big. B1 is about moving beyond that. It's about expressing feelings, opinions, goals, even hypothetical ideas.
And we found 4 high-value conversational topics that really force you to use that more complex B1 language. First one, goals and future plans. This makes you use future forms and modals of intention.
Right, so it's not enough to say, I want to be fluent. You need to be able to answer, how do you plan to reach that goal? What steps will you take? That forces you to use phrases like, I intend to, or I'm going to have to.
Second big area, hypotheticals. This is where you practice conditional language. If you could live anywhere, where would it be? Or if you had more free time, what would you do?
And you can't just give a one-word answer. You have to build a complex sentence. Well, if I lived in Italy, I would probably eat pasta every day. That's B1 complexity right there.
The third area is media and hobbies, talking about books, movies, podcasts. This is great because it demands that you express nuanced opinions. What did you think of the main character? Do you agree with the film's message? This makes you use language for agreeing and disagreeing.
And finally, health and lifestyle. Things like, how do you manage stress? Or what do you do to stay healthy? These are real-world topics that require you to talk about routines and obligations, using those modals like should, must, and have to.
And the key strategy for all of these topics is to learn phrases, not just single words, language chunks.
Yes. If you just learn the word decide, you still have to build the whole sentence around it when you speak. But if you learn the chunk make a decision, it just comes out as one pre-built unit. It's so much faster.
It really is. It cuts down that translation lag. And to make those new phrases stick, try what's called the triple exposure technique. You use the new phrase 3 times in 24 hours. Once when you're writing, once in your head, and once out loud in a real conversation. That really cements it.
And finally, as you start having these deeper conversations, you have to remember that it's not all about the words you're using.
Not at all. According to one famous study, body language can account for over half of the meaning in a conversation. If you only focus on grammar, you're ignoring the biggest part of the interaction.
So things like realizing that pauses are okay, silence isn't failure, it's just thinking time.
Exactly. And learning how to politely end a conversation, a soft exit.
Yeah.
You don't want to just walk away. Using a phrase like, well, I should let you get on with your day, but it was great talking, is a crucial social skill.
So when you pull it all together, what does this all mean? The synthesis is pretty clear. Fluency at this level isn't about more studying. It's about shifting to short, consistent, and really intentional daily routines.
And those routines have to focus on active practice. Shadowing to train your mouth and ears. Quick flow writing to practice pulling words out of your brain. And using transcripts to actively decode how native speakers really sound.
And the whole point of all this is to build flow and confidence. The goal is communication, not perfection. Our sources were clear on this. If you forget a word, just use a simpler one and keep going. Keeping the conversation alive is more important than perfect grammar.
That's the real freedom you find when you break through the B1 plateau.
So, given that the fastest way to real fluency involves these techniques like shadowing and unedited writing, where speed and performance are the priority, here's something to think about as you move forward. For you, the intermediate learner who might be afraid of making mistakes, is it possible the key to unlocking fluency is less about achieving perfect grammatical correctness and more about accepting that mistakes are just a natural part of developing a high-speed automatic skill? Keep taking those small steps. Keep moving.